you are far away today.
Yes, I am. Quite a distance.
Well, before we get into where you are on planet Earth, welcome everybody to another amazing week of Case Files with Kat
and Ashley.
Yeah, so tell the listeners at home where you are.
I am traveling on the East Coast, making lots of stops. Family, friends, everywhere but Texas.
Are you just like doing the whole Eastern Seaboard, or are you staying?
Kind of. I'm trying, not very successfully. North Carolina, South Carolina, the usuals.
The usuals. That's awesome. Well, have a good time.
Yeah.
Are you able to drink since you're not at the office? Oh, she shakes her head.
No, I don't have anything. I'm a failure at the show.
What?
I know.
You're failing your show.
I know, really badly. I'm sorry, guys.
That's okay.
The next time I'm at the office, I will. Just for you guys.
Thanks. Yeah, we want you to drive drunk. So actually, I am drinking something new today, although it's not a new brand or anything. It's from Voodoo Ranger, right? It's the New Belgium Voodoo Ranger.
Oh, my brother loves Voodoo Ranger.
I love Voodoo Ranger. So far, I've been happy with every single one I've had. V2K, this says, which looks kind of cool. Great can art with them.
I love their art, yes.
I have nothing to say about this beer. It actually has it's really sweet. This is very weird. Grapefruit. There you go. Grapefruit
but it's
and
sweet
spices. It's kind of it's grapefruit and spices. So you have that citrus, but then something happens at the end where it's kind of sweet. There's a child making a lot of noise in my house right now.
Oh, I thought you were about to say here. I was like, I'm sorry, there's two of them. So
no,
I can't control that.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening, but I wish it would stop. So sorry, everybody. So man, you've been on the road. You've been having a good time. I'm so jealous. I have just been working like a crazy person, but loving what I do.
I've still been working, just with little creatures crawling on me and stuff,
That's great. Creatures like aliens. Or
I don't know. They make me feel like they're aliens sometimes. I really think my niece is going to grow up to be a serial killer, guys. I love her to death.
Why?
But she says there's a magical man that lives in her on their walls, and he writes her letters. She likes to draw blood rain with me. I had to draw clouds of blood rain, and then she told my sister-in-law that she wanted to watch me sleep. So,
Nope.
Pretty convinced she's going to be,
Hold on.
I had to whisper because, like the devil, you say something and then they just appear.
So what are you coloring blood red?
Oh, blood rain. Like clouds of blood.
Oh.
Yes. Yes.
Wait, and how old is she?
4.
Oh, okay.
The other one's 8 months. So,
Okay.
Can't speak yet. So, I don't know if she's going to be a serial killer or not.
I am laughing at this because I'm like, okay, how old was my youngest when he started drawing like Slender Man and Pennywise? And it might have been 4. He's still into all that. He's still like Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah.
Is that something? Okay. So that's like, we have a little Five Nights at Freddy's plushie doll, and he tried to color it with like red marker so that it would look like it had blood on it.
They'd probably be best friends. Yeah. So she refers to beer as adult bottles.
What?
Because she asked if she said one of the nights she was like, "Do you want an adult bottle?" And I looked at my brother. I was like, "What is she talking about?" And he's like, "Oh, she's asking if you want a beer." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I'm glad that you taught your child that it's called an adult bottle. I love it, though. I love it. Family.
It's accurate. It's accurate. I know some of our listeners are like, yeah.
I have a really funny picture. I can't post it because it is my niece, but I will send it to you, and it's really creepy. I might post it. I have to ask them if I can. It's of her baby monitor the night that she said she wanted to watch me sleep. It's really crazy. I'll send it to you, and then I'll ask them if I can post it.
Don't be creepy, kid. You know how we are with the creepy kids. Don't be creepy, kid. Yeah, it's so funny because early on, when Anderson started really getting into like the scary stuff, I don't know if it was like ads on a game, or anything like that. I don't know what it was, but he was just really into the way that it looked, and he could draw like Bendy, I think is another game, and there's Five Nights at Freddy's, Slender Man, Siren Head. There's all these games were super popular with really little kids, So it was exciting, I guess. And I was like, he's either going to be a stand-up comic or a serial killer. And so right now he's on the killer trajectory. Because he'll do this awesome art and then go into the kitchen and go crawl up to get the red food coloring to make it look like drops of blood. And he's very artistic about it. It's beautiful art,
Beautiful,
it's just like,
yes.
You're scaring me.
With her, we asked her where the magical man came from, and she won't tell us. But she's really into princesses and stuff. Like, she doesn't watch anything crazy, and she doesn't have access to anything crazy. And my sister-in-law is a stay-at-home mom, so she's like with her pretty much all the time. So they don't know where she got this obsession with creepy stuff.
Dude, I would be scared to be in that house, burn it down. Maybe you need to do some like nighttime videoing, where you can see if there's.
I don't want to see anything. I just want to go to sleep.
I don't want to see anything either.
I was turning the music app on at night and just like, I don't want to know. Don't tell me the magical man, where he is in the house. Don't tell me.
I wouldn't want to know either. No, thank you. Nope.
Yeah. So, anyways, that was a lot of fun.
Oh my God. Okay, so this is a perfect segue. Way to segue into our question of the week, which is: if you were a ghost, how would you haunt somebody?
Okay. I would probably pick up their doggies and let them float through the air and like really freak them out and think their dogs are possessed. Or like, I'd want to play with them. Like, I'm a ghost, but I still want to play with the dogs. So I would just like throw their toys and people would just see the dog toys, like, or they'd be looking on like the dog cameras, or whatever. And it would just be the toys floating around everywhere. That's what I would do. I mean, it's not even haunting people really. It's just being a ghost playing with dogs.
People are going to abandon their pets because of you.
And then I'll take them into my little ghost world. I will find them a new home. I will just float them into a new home. People will just have a new pet all of a sudden.
Or people would just burn it down.
No,
like Sarah.
I wouldn't let that happen.
I would, like, my first thing was like, I would just like drink their beer, or I would leave it out, make my own little beer. But then I was like, I can't really drink anything. So I was like, I would probably fuck with their cats at like really inopportune times. To where it's just like, you want to play? Let's play.
Yeah.
Cats are up at all hours.
Yeah. I might put like their alarm, the traditional, put the alarm clock somewhere and just set it off at random hours where they can't find it. Fun stuff.
Just be a real treat. Just a pleasant ghost.
Just as pleasant as I am in real life, Just why stop that when I die?
The friendly ghost.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was fun. All right, so now that we've lost everybody, I am going to. We do every week, right? We do.
It's all right.
Um, I've said this to you before, I think, right, where Jason's been like, man, the kids are gonna have this like treasure trove of all of these stories that you tell, like about you, like that Ashley and you tell all the time, and different stories of our childhoods or whatever. And there's like all of this, and I'm like, they are gonna be so embarrassed. Be like, my mom.
Does he listen to the show?
Yes, he does. When he's putting it all together.
I don't know if I would just be like, no, they whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I thought you just like listened sparingly to make sure we weren't total idiots.
He laughs at us. There's a lot that he'll be like, really, like, but he just thinks like, wow, they're gonna have all of this footage of you, and I was like, oh God, they're just. I'm going to be an embarrassment. That's my mom. Because right now it's cool.
Yeah. They're not in high school yet.
Here we go.
Yes.
Oh
Story
my gosh.
time.
I'm ready to embarrass them for the rest of their lives. I was born for this. Okay. So let me, okay, that was fun. We're all fun and games, but I want to start tonight because seriously, I'm about to get into some, you're gonna see, that was fun, laughing cat, like, I wish you had Kevin tonight, because seriously, the story tonight is gonna be upsetting,
okay,
maybe even triggering for some, because I'll be covering sexual misconduct of adults against minors. All right, okay. It's a very famous story, so please listen with caution. And but when I started to research my story, I really started on this whole other topic, like this whole other person. And then I got more and more into it. I started even like getting more curious about like the subject as a whole, because I was researching this one singular case, but it was about a teacher that goes bad. Right. And I was like, well, how many other teachers go bad? So while I will tell you, I know, right? So while I will tell you about my original story, I'll also want to talk a little bit about some of the other cases like that kind of came across. So the story that I'm actually talking about tonight is actually not the teacher that I originally put up on our spreadsheet. So I originally was I was going to talk about Danielle Harkins. And she was the teacher who just recently this year, was at least this year or last year, who, and there's very little known about her. This is still an ongoing case. So it's still very, very new. So there's not a whole lot. It's like the same stuff, but she was a literacy teacher at a community center. And she got a group of teenagers to perform this ceremony where they were releasing the demons.
Oh my gosh.
Cutting themselves and then cauterizing the wounds to stop the demons from getting back in. So they would have to cut themselves.
This was a teacher?
Each other. She was a literacy teacher. Yeah. And so these are like full-on teenagers. These were teens, 15, 16, 17, and they performed this crazy ritual. And so like what's really known, I know, and it's not a long story, which is why I didn't end up going with it. But I ended up doing all of this research on all these other teachers that just kind of go bad. And so, but what happened with her is that she was in the middle of a divorce. There was the contentious custody battle between her and her husband. There were allegations of domestic violence. She had tried to get a restraining order, a protective order. All of that was dismissed. There was just something going on with her. And then she found this religion, this sort of evangelical religion, but the way that the media described it was that it was not a demonic, a satanic ritual. But I was like, but she was ridding the children in her mind of the demons and then cauterizing the wounds to then keep the demons from coming. She was like exorcising the demons. So it's like it really was a religious. It was a not. I won't say Christian. I don't know because she didn't. They don't really know anything about the religion, but that's what happened. And so the kids did not tell anybody. They did not go home and tell their parents. They did not tell any adult. But one of the kids told their friends in a text message, and that friend told their parents, and the parents called the authorities, and that's how the whole thing got found out.
Thank goodness, like someone did something, you know?
Those children have still not given statements. They're like, yeah, it happened. I'm okay. That's all I really want to say about it. Like, they don't want to talk about it. And there was a broken bottle found at the scene that was used to cut one of the children. Like, this wasn't with like knives. Like, nothing clean, nothing sanitary. And then they would heat up in the fire like a key, and then she would use the key to cauterize the wound. The hot key. Oh my
God. How do people get this crazy?
Right? So there were students who were cut. There were students who were burned. They're all fine. They're all okay. But oh my gosh, like that's the whole story. That's why I'm saying like there wasn't enough to tell an entire episode of this person. But I was like, what the fuck? Like that's
and the fact that there were so many kids that agreed to that. I don't know. That just blows my mind. Like,
well, there's this younger, she wasn't that young, but she was, 30s, she was, I don't know. Anyway, so I'll get into the case that I'm doing, but I want to do a little bit of trivia for you. And this is where it gets kind of just shitty. This shit is disturbing. All right. So if you listen to us at all of you at home, all of you listeners, I assume you never have kids in the room with you when you listen to our episodes. But if you do, I just feel like I should reiterate that this is you should listen with caution.
And should really not let your children listen to our show.
Because we want our kids. And you really shouldn't let your kids listen. Because we're inappropriate. Okay, so according... okay, first I'm going to do some facts.
Okay.
Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so according to a 2004 U.S. Department of Education report, an estimated... So this is a long time ago, and I'm just going to assume that it's probably gone up. It was estimated that 1 in 10 students will experience school employee sexual misconduct by the time they graduate from high school. This is why I'm telling you, please don't have children in the room, because this is not going to be good.
Yeah.
Okay. Sexual contact with a student who is over the age of consent, which is 16 in most states, is not a crime, but is typically prohibited by school policy. Gross. Victims of school employee sexual misconduct span most demographic characteristics, though students who are low income, female, and in high school are most likely to experience sexual misconduct by a school employee. Offenders are typically popular, and they have often been recognized for excellence. I went down a couple of different rabbit holes, and I can't tell you how many Best Teachers of the Year awards were won. Best Teacher in District, went to national.
Oh my gosh.
Seriously, super popular. One teacher offender, this is kind of like the term, the teacher offender. One teacher offender can have as many as 73 victims, according to a 2010 GAO report. That's the Government Accountability Office. As of 2014, 46 states had mandatory reporting laws that require school employees to report suspicions of child abuse, including sexual abuse by any adult, parents, family members, and school employees, or even other students. 43 of those states have defined penalties for not reporting. Only 43. I'm sorry. That should be like a federal thing. You have to report.
Yeah.
Protect your children. I'm sorry. I know people have issues with like a big government, but oh my God, can we protect our kids? I don't know. Okay, see, I'm gonna go off on tangents. Stick to the script, Kat. Stick to the script. A teacher offender can be transferred to 3 different schools before he or she is reported to the police.
Oh my God, what?
According to a 2010 GAO report, this practice is called passing the trash.
Oh my God. Why wouldn't you just say something, get rid of them? I'm sorry, I look crazy.
You don't look crazy?
Why? I just don't understand, like, there's a report of child abuse.
Yeah.
And you're just like, you know what? This is another child's problem. Let's just send them to a different school.
Yep.
Wow.
But that's similar to the Catholic Church, right? Going from parish to parish. So
yeah.
just quiet about it, you know. Okay, I'm going to end here. I'm going to do the last one. According to the Statesman in 2018, in the fiscal year that ended in September 1st, so 2018, the Texas Education Agency, or the TEA, opened 429 cases of improper teacher-student relationships, a 42% increase from the previous year and the largest one-year jump in at least a decade.
Oh, my God.
We are number 1. Texas is like...
crazy.
Bleh. Okay, so I'll stop there. Honestly, God. Honestly, it made me all kinds of angry, you know, to see all of these stories that I did. You know, it was like top 10 most heinous murders by a teacher, or like 50 teachers who got in trouble with the kids and that sort of thing. There were all these sort of very famous tabloid stories. A lot of them I knew, a lot. Most of them I didn't, but some of them I did know. So not to generalize things, because I don't like to do that, but these news stories, so like the 10 murders, gruesome, heinous crimes, they were predators, but then they were also murderers. Those were dudes. And then there was like all the sexual predator rapists who, whatever, those were mostly women. So all these women were getting caught for doing this, and all these men were actually like serial killers or like killing these kids. And it's years and years and years of abuse that they can get away with. But like the women who were caught and arrested, most of them were in their early 20s, and their victims were mostly 15, 16 years old. And I say mostly because there were some 13-year-olds. There were some 13, 14-year-olds who were being seduced by some 30-year-olds.
Oh, okay. Ugh. I don't know why I just assumed you were talking about, like, little kids.
Oh, there's that, too. But the ones that are, like, most are, like, 13, and there's, like, some 40-year-olds.
Ugh.
I'm sorry. Nope. I don't care how hot teacher is. I just don't care. And what's bonkers, like, what makes me so angry is that so very few of them saw any jail time. They at most lost their license to teach. Some of them got time served. Some of them were on permanent probation or like whatever, but they don't go to jail. They don't go to jail for very long. A year, you know, like no time at all. And I have said it here. I think a bazillion. I don't think I'm overreacting. I don't think I'm I know I'm prone to hyperbole, but I think I've said it a bazillion times that rape of anybody is under penalized. This is just not something that's taken very seriously. And the idea that a teacher was hot, so was she really rape?
Crazy when I see that in comments.
Yeah, like, well, she was hot. She didn't really rape the kid. I'm sure he was a kid. She was a kid. Kid.
Yeah.
You know, and there were young girls. And the thing is that predators are predators. And that's what we forget. Like, well, just because you might like to sleep with her doesn't mean that what she did was right, because they seek out, like we have said on so many different episodes, predators seek out those who are vulnerable, right? Yep. And so there's a grooming process. Mm-hmm. And it is very easy. There's something wrong with this person internally, and they take the doting or affection or flirting of a child to make them feel better. Yeah. And it's so bonkers. And you know, you've heard the stories of women who got pregnant by their 13-year-old, 14-year-old lover. Yeah. Lover. Victim, right? Yes. And then they go to jail and stay in contact with the child. I'm sure you've heard of these stories, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. They get out of prison and then they're holding hands with that kid. Yeah. It's just not right. Like, I want everybody to imagine their daughter or their son having that happen. And it's like, no one's going to agree with it. Everyone will be like, hell no. But like, if you're so separate from it, everyone's like, well, she's hot. Did she really? Okay, I'm off my soapbox.
I don't think those people have children that say that, because I just can't imagine a parent saying that.
I can't imagine a parent saying that either. And I don't know, or it's somebody who's also kind of messed up and maybe experienced that kind of abuse as a kid as well. And so there's just a lot. That's the thing. A kid might be like, no, I was initiating it. That is an adult. That adult knows better. It is against the law. Yeah. So it's terrible. It's terrible. Okay. So the story tonight, I'm going to get down off my soapbox now. Okay. I'm going to get back on it in a little bit, but
okay. We're only 30 minutes into the episode.
Oh shit. All right. So the story tonight really doesn't have to do with a teacher per se, but a school employee. She was indeed a school employee. You may have seen a movie or two or three. Actually, there might be three about her. Her name is Pamela Smart. And she was the inspiration for a book that later became a Nicole Kidman movie called To Die For. Have you seen it?
I have not.
It also stars. Yeah, it also stars a young Joaquin Phoenix.
Oh, I'm definitely looking it up. I think I've heard of it. I've just never seen it.
Yeah, it's a pretty old movie. I mean, you know, it came out quite a bit ago. So I'll just start with a little bit about old Pamela. Old Pamela Smart. So she was born Pamela Wohas in Windham, New Hampshire on August 16th, 1967. The other movie that I can think of was actually Helen Hunt played her, called A Murder in New Hampshire. And Chad Allen, I believe it was her opposite. So anyway. She was born August 16th, 1967. So happy almost birthday to John and Linda Wohas. She grew up in Miami, Florida before her family moved to Derry, New Hampshire when she was in 8th grade. So from then on out, she was there. She attended secondary school at Pinkerton Academy in Derry, where she was a cheerleader, and graduated from Florida State University with a degree in communications. At FSU, she had been the host of a college radio program. I can't believe you haven't seen the Nicole Kidman movie. It's really good.
I know. I'm sorry.
So
I'm just all the way around.
Pamela met Gregory Smart while she visited New Hampshire over Christmas break in 1986. They formed a serious relationship in February in 1987 and married 2 years later. So he moved to Florida to be with her and at FSU for her senior year. And then they loved heavy metal music. So she had the bangs and the hair, and he had the big hair, and he had such a baby face. Like even when he cut his hair for their when they got married or whatever, he looked all like adult. He still had the babiest face, you know. But she just had the bangs.
Yeah.
Woo, with the curly hair, the perm and all that. So, Ashley's going to post the pictures. I did send them to her. Anyway, so they both loved heavy metal music. But 7 months into their marriage, they began having some difficulties. She took a job as a media coordinator at Winnicott. That's probably not how you say it. High school in Hampton, New Hampshire. And she met a high school sophomore named William Billy Flynn at Project Self-Esteem. So it was a project to build self-esteem in teenagers with low self-esteem. A local drug awareness program at the high school. So she was there, he was volunteering. They bonded over their mutual interest in heavy metal. Pamela also met another intern named Cecilia Pierce, who was friends with Flynn. So, I know that movies that are based on actual events or inspired by actual events don't really like have the whole story straight. You know, they really like Nicole Kidman is really shown as in her version as being this very like, I am going to be an anchor on TV. And she really did want to be on TV. She wanted to, in real life, you know, she had aspirations to do special stories, kind of like Barbara Walters, to be that sort of journalist, not to be like an anchor, like, right, I'm Kat Clemens bringing you the latest news, right? Not that, like something like more touching, deeper feeling, right? Yeah. And so the movie kind of has her as being like, she's a go-getter. She's going to do the weather and she's going to do this. So it wasn't anything quite like that. But, you know, she did want to be kind of famous. Anyway, so the murder of Greg came on May 1st, 1989. So this was really soon. So they got married in 1989. So this is May 1st, 1990. Okay. Pamela came home from a meeting at work to find her condominium ransacked and her husband Gregory murdered. Police officials said the crime scene looked like a disrupted burglary, but Smart was later accused of seducing 15-year-old Flynn, 15. She was 21 at the time, and threatening to stop having sex with him unless he killed her husband. Flynn did so with the help of friends Pete Randall, J.R. Ladamy, and Raymond Fowler. So it's Patrick, but he went by Pete Randall Vance, J.R. Ladamy Jr., and Raymond Fowler. So during the investigation, Ladamy's father brought a .38 caliber pistol he had found in his house to the police. Way to go, Dad. Believing it might have been the murder weapon. On May 14th, an anonymous tip also indicated that Pierce was aware of the plan. So there we go. Police talked to Pierce. So I'm guessing that's him. Sorry. I got really confused. Who agreed to wear a wire and record conversations with Smart. Nope, that's Cecilia Pierce. I'm sorry. I just remember Cecilia. God, too many things. Okay, so she agreed to wear a wire, hoping that she would say something that was incriminating. Okay. So, good old buddy, old pal. So, when August 1st... This is the friend of Flynn? The
Okay.
friend that introduced, yeah, so
Okay.
common friends, right? So on August 1st, 1990, Detective Daniel I Pelletier, I'm going to say Pelletier, because that's how it's spelled, approached Smart in her school's parking lot. Smart immediately recognized him. So, because she already spoke to him on 6 other occasions. So
Yeah.
she said, "What's up? Like, what's up?" "Well, Pam, I have some good news for you and I have some bad news," he said. "The good news is that we've solved the murder of your husband. The bad news is you're under arrest."
Oh.
This was all
Dun, dun, dun.
recorded.
Like, he really said it like that?
Yes.
That's awesome. He's my favorite cop ever.
I know. I'm like, you can't write shit like that. That's amazing. "What for?" she asked. "First-degree murder," he said. Smart was then handcuffed and arraigned at the Derry District Court and jailed at the New Hampshire State Prison for Women, which is in Gofston at the time. All right. So obviously there's all kinds of hemming and hawing on her part because she said I had nothing to do with it. You know, the 4 boys that were involved, there was obviously Billy Flynn, who was the actual shooter. There was Pete Randall, who was in there with him. So he went into the condominium with them. There was Rafe Fowler. No. J.R. Latomy, I'm sorry. J.R. Latomy was the getaway driver, and Raymond Fowler was in the car. He was just like in the car. He didn't leave the car. He didn't drive, but he was a part of it. So that's, I think, if I remember correctly, just an accessory to murder and a conspiracy to murder. Yeah. So they were all a part of it. And so this trial actually it was a gavel to gavel televised trial. I believe it was the first one that was gavel to gavel because it was like so scandalous. It was this hot teacher and this kid, and it was,
I think I've heard of this story. I just haven't ever watched any of the movies.
She used to, in her hair, once you see her hair, but she would always wear these bows, and that was like a super talked about thing, like what her bows could mean. It meant nothing. She was just dressing up. She was just super cute, right? At the time. So it was widely watched. I mean, it was one of the first in the U.S. to allow TV cameras in the courtroom. And so she faced life in prison if she was convicted. The prosecution's case relied heavily on testimony from Flynn and Fowler and Latomy and Randall. So that was all 4 of them were going to testify against her. So they secured their own plea bargains before the trial began. And so oral arguments began on March 4th, 1991, and Assistant AG Diane Nicolosi portrayed the teenagers as naive victims of a, quote, evil woman bent on murder. And, they were young. 15 years old. They were young. And so it's so hard. It's so hard to put for me, it's so hard to put any of the blame on them. I know that they were the ones that pulled the trigger and drove there and broke in and planned the whole thing or were part of the planning. It's so hard for me to put 100% of the blame on them because...
Especially considering what kind of group they were in when she met them. Like...
low self-esteem, and they had problems of their own at home. They were in trouble with the law sometimes, so these were not kids that had like awesome upbringings, or zero, there's all kinds of things. So obviously there is some vulnerability there. So,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So blah, blah, blah. The prosecution portrayed Pamela Smart as the cold-blooded mastermind who controlled her underage sex partner. Nicolosi claimed that Smart seduced Flynn to get him to murder her husband so that she could avoid an expensive divorce and benefit from a $140,000 life insurance policy. In her testimony, though, Smart acknowledged that she had had what she termed an affair with an underage boy, but claimed that the murder of her husband was solely the doing of Flynn and his friends as a reaction. So here's the thing. She said, I told him he would never let us be together, or I could never be with him. So some kind of she made some kind of comment like, just because I said, he'll never let us be together, or I'm going to have to break things off because I'm married.
Yeah.
He took that to mean, well, then I need to kill her husband to be with her. So that's how she's spinning it all these years later. And even all these years later. She wished to end their relationship and repair her marriage. She insisted that she neither participated in the murder plot nor had any knowledge of it, though Flynn claimed he had fallen in love with her when he first met her. Cecilia Pierce testified at trial that Smart and Flynn were originally just friends. Pierce first noticed a change about February when Smart confessed to her that she loved Bill. Flynn testified at trial that he was a virgin before he had sex with Pamela Smart. She tried to debunk that.
Shit.
It's so hard for me, and I'm going to get... After a 14-day trial that culminated on March 22nd, 1991, I was a freshman in high school, in the Rockingham County Superior Court, Smart was found guilty of being an accomplice to first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and witness tampering. The tampering stemmed from Pamela's coercing Cecilia not to say anything to the authorities. Wow. Or to just lie.
Wow.
You can't do that. Pro tip, don't do that. The conviction was largely the result of testimony of her co-conspirators and secretly taped conversations in which Smart appeared to contradict and secretly taped conversations in which Smart appeared to contradict her claims of having wanted to reconcile with her husband and of having no knowledge of the boy's plot. She could have been charged with capital murder, but the prosecution decided against it. Later that day, she was given a mandatory sentence of life in prison without the possibility for parole. So she continues to sit in prison.
That's good.
Now. So Smart argued that the media had influenced her trial and conviction, as she explained in the 2014 HBO documentary Captivated, The Trials of Pamela Smart. So if you ever want to, I doubt that's still on HBO, but there you go. So she continues to serve her life sentence. She's at a maximum security Bedford Hills Correctional Facility for Women in Westchester County, New York. Isn't it? No, that's Bedford Falls from It's a Wonderful Life. So she was transferred there in 1993 from the New Hampshire State Prison for Women in Goffstown. And so at the time, New Hampshire officials said that the transfer was for unspecified security reasons. Co-defendants William Flynn and Patrick Randall were also transferred out of state, in both cases to the Maine State Prison in Warren, Maine.
So did they all get life? Did the kids get life?
So no, because they were juveniles. I'll get to that in a second. So the specific reasons for it's okay. So the specific reason for Smart's transfer was unclear. But in 2007, a senior assistant at the state attorney general's office told the Keene State Equinox that Smart was transferred due to discipline problems. She was a pretty model citizen, though, all in all. She had, before, in recent years, she's been a model prisoner most of the time, but she did accrue 22 disciplinary reports. All but 2 of them were for minor offenses. So, I mean,
yeah,
you can have a bad day and get an offense, I'm sure, a disciplinary report. Deputy Compact Administrator Denise Heath claimed that at the time there were fears that the state prison for women was not suitable for a high-profile inmate like Smart, and that it would be too easy for someone to break her out. Makes sense. However, New Hampshire has never had a formal transfer agreement with New York. Heath believed the transfer was a commissioner-to-commissioner agreement. So Smart's family maintains that they were never informed of the transfer. So there's still some speculation as to why. So Miss Pamela maintains her innocence, aside from making that grievous error of having an affair with an underage boy.
Yes.
That was her biggest mistake. She has conceded that her husband would still be alive if she had not had what she continues to describe as an affair with Flynn. A minor. I'm going to say that again. A minor. While in prison, she has tutored other inmates. She has completed 2 master's degrees. I would too if I was just sitting there. With concentrations in literature and legal studies from Mercy College, which were paid for with private funds from Mercy College. Smart became a member of NOW, the National Organization for Women, campaigning for rights of women in prison. Great. Good job. In October 1996, Smart was severely beaten by fellow inmates Mona Graves and Gania Miller. This resulted in the insertion of a plastic plate in the left side of her face. The 2 inmates beat Smart after they accused her of snitching on them about their relationship. Graves and Miller were convicted of second-degree assault in the attack on Smart. And as a result of the beating, she takes medication for chronic pain and sometimes thinks of suicide. So her counselor is Dr. Eleanor Pam. So Pam, when I say Pam, not Pamela. So Pam says that she has many, many, many dark days. Smart says she still keeps track of Flynn because she regards him as being the key to her freedom. Quote, he is one of the few people that could actually get me out of here by coming forward and telling the truth. But he's never going to do that.
Delusional. She sounds so delusional.
Like, is it narcissistic or what is it? What is that?
I would
not
say
taking accountability. What is that?
That's not, narcissism.
Like, just not like seeing the reality. For me, it's just like, are you looking at reality now? I don't know. In 2003, photos of a scantily clad Smart, you can find these very easily on the internet if you just look up Smart photos, Pamela Smart photos. They are still there. They were published by the National Enquirer, and she is like wearing a yellow bra with some like yellow biker shorts, and she's got her cell all decorated, and then her nails are all done. And then there's another one where she's like on her bed and like the bra and panties or like red bra and panties. I'm like, where are you getting? Don't they have like prison issue shit?
Yeah.
No, do they get?
I mean, I wouldn't think they would get special clothing. Only for like court dates.
Anyway, she has some special bra and underwear. I don't know. Okay, so they were. She filed a complaint against the prison because those came out of her cell. Those were like her pictures.
Of herself?
And all of herself.
So she took pictures of herself in lingerie that she only wanted to keep for herself.
Well, maybe she was going to give them to, a lover. inside.
Okay.
Or in a letter, you know?
Sure.
In a letter. Some people, narcissism. I'm going to just say that again. So she was put because she filed a complaint against the prison and was placed in solitary confinement for 2 months. So she sued, claiming the photos were taken by a prison guard who had raped her, but the lawsuit was dismissed. And in 2004, Smart and fellow inmate Carolyn Warma sued officials in Bedford Hills, claiming sexual harassment and sexual assault by a corrections officer who they said coerced them into posing for the suggestive pictures published in 2003. See, you were asking questions. I had to get to the end of that statement. So, she didn't look happy in the pictures, but they're there. District Court judge approved a $23,875 judgment to Smart from the state of New York. Smart received just $8,750, while her attorney received the rest. While serving her sentence, Smart took part in a writer's workshop, which was facilitated by playwright Eve Ensler. She wrote the vagina monologues. The workshop and
the
Smart's
teacher?
writing... Yeah, Eve Ensler. She wrote that play, The Vagina Monologues.
I thought you were saying Pamela wrote it. I thought you were saying the teacher wrote it.
The playwright, Eve Ensler.
Yeah, okay,
so she wrote
now.
The Vagina Monologues. All right, are you with me? All right. So actually, her writing, a workshop and Smart's writing were exhibited in a 2003 PBS documentary, What I Want My Words to Do to You. So there you go. In April of 2004, the first U.S. Court of Appeals upheld a 2002 ruling by a federal judge who rejected her federal habeas petition. Previous to her federal appeal, Pamela Smart had exhausted all judicial appeals at the state level. And in July of 2005, the New Hampshire Executive Council unanimously denied a pardon request for, quote, any conditions the governor may seek to impose. In an interview with ABC News, Smart indicated she was afraid of growing old and dying in prison and would rather have been given the death penalty. So, in 1992, Billy Flynn, her co-conspirator, was sentenced to life in prison for second-degree murder, not eligible for parole for 40 years with 12... This is so long. So, not eligible for parole for 40 years with 12 years of a minimum sentence deferred if he maintains good behavior. That's so long.
Yeah.
So you can get out if you have good behavior. Flynn was incarcerated at the Maine State Prison in Warren. He earned his GED. He was doing charity work. He was an electrician. In 2007, he sought a sentence reduction after serving 16 years, stating that he had vowed not to do so until he had spent as many years behind bars as he had spent free. Ugh.
Yeah.
That's just shitty. He also apologized to Greg Smart's family for murdering him. The Smart family opposed the request, obviously. On February 12th, 2008, the request was denied. Although Flynn's earliest parole eligibility date was reduced by 3 years to 25 years, making him eligible for parole in 2015, in 2014, he was moved to a minimum security facility in Maine, and he was allowed to participate in a work release program. So, Flynn was ultimately granted parole by the state parole board on March 12th, 2015, and was released from prison with lifetime parole on June 4th, 2015, a few days past the 25th anniversary of Greg Smart's death. This was his 41st birthday.
Damn.
Billy Flynn's 41st birthday. He told the board, and I listened to this, but he told the board that he would always be haunted by the killing. I will always feel terrible about what happened 25 years ago. Parole will not change that. And look, now I listened to him give a statement to the parole board, and he said some important things like, I take responsibility. I feel guilt, remorse, and I'm sorry. I hope this is the last time I remind the Smart family of their pain. Lots of accountability, right? lots of that. I'm sorry. I did it. I wish I didn't. That sort of thing. Contrast it with Pamela Smart. She takes zero responsibility. It's everyone else's fault but hers. It's gone all over. Like all these different things. It's everyone else's fault. So like Flynn, Patrick Randall was also sentenced to life in prison for second-degree murder. He too served his sentence. And in March 2009, a judge reduced his sentence to 25 years, making him eligible for release as early as June 2015. And he was granted parole at a hearing on April 9th, 2015. And so he was released June 4th, 2015, on as well lifetime parole on the same day as Flynn's release, just a few days past the 25th anniversary of Greg Smart's death. Co-conspirator and driver Vance Latomy was sentenced to life in prison as well as an accomplice to second-degree murder. Eligible for parole after 30 years, and making with 12 years suspended, making him eligible in 2008. But in 2005, his minimum sentence was reduced by 3 years, and so he was paroled that same year, 15 years after Greg Smart's death. And then Raymond Fowler, the guy who waited in the car during the killing, that guy, he was sentenced to 30 years for conspiracy to murder and attempted burglary, and parole eligibility after 15 years. So he was paroled in 2003, 13 years after Greg Smart's death. But he was sent back to prison in 2004 for violating his parole terms. He was paroled again in June 2005. So don't violate your parole terms.
That's how their whole lives basically over for this one woman.
That's right. She did a very long, couple of years ago, in 2019, in January of 2019, she did an interview with the Washington Post. And so they, kind of did this whole breakdown of her. And she really, truly believes that she, this is it's an attack on women. So like really embracing this, like, well, all of these men got out and I didn't. So feminism, right? And it's just kind of like, dude, really, like your husband wasn't beating you. He wasn't you weren't protecting yourself. Like there's just no responsibility. And it's really frustrating because most of this is the quote, but some of America's most prominent feminists have come to her aid, drawn in part by the fact that the teenage triggerman and his 3 male accomplices have all been released from prison, while the woman who became the face of the case remains behind bars. Among those who have written to the state on her behalf are Gloria Steinem, Vagina Monologues playwright Eve Ensler, and Kate Millett, the groundbreaking author of Sexual Politics, who visited Smart in prison before her death last year in 2018 and strongly proclaimed her innocent.
Oh, so she died.
That woman, that
okay, I'm sorry, I'm getting
Kate Millett. Yeah. So no, Smart is still alive. I'm not saying that she doesn't deserve the same kind of like, that's the sentence. You have life. She was 21.
She took no blame whatsoever for any of it.
But and so there is precedent. There is absolutely precedent that if somebody commits a crime before the age of 25, that you don't give somebody younger than the age of 25 the death penalty, or at least sentences are reduced, because a reality, a truth is that our brains are not fully formed before the age of 25. She was 21 years old when all of this happened. And so, she wasn't Nicole Kidman, doing the like, I want the whole, I get where she's coming from in some ways, but Jason's like, man, I can't tell if you think that she should be let out or if you think, and I was like, see, it's just like Son of Sam's.
Yeah.
He was like, I don't know if you believe it or if not, and I'm like, well, my problem is that there's just no remorse.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, she was still wearing her wedding ring because, quote, I'm still married after all.
Wow.
And she sent that ring back to her mom. So her mom really still believes, her mom's getting older. Her mom really believes that she's innocent. She made the mistake of having this affair. And it's just this whole thing. There's just no, I'd love to hear what everyone thinks about this. I don't believe that, if people like Flynn, like all of the co-conspirators, all of those people, if all of those guys were like, I am really sorry this happened. And I sent you pictures of Billy Flynn now, like during his parole case. He is bawling just like he was during the trial. He has remorse, right? There is remorse. He's going to live with that for the rest of his life. He did get married. He did find another blonde wife to marry him in prison, which is amazing to me that he's free now. And, but that's crazy. The ring thing though, why wouldn't I? I mean, I'm still married. I mean,
yeah.
I don't. So there's just I have all kinds of issues with her. But I don't know. I if she showed any remorse, anything at all, I would be like, well,
Yeah, but she showed nothing. So not even for the kids nothing. That she ruined. Yeah.
So actually, and then the funny thing is I was doing some more research about like, where is she now? Right. So she was actually not allowed. There was oh my gosh, where is it? Judge rejects Pamela Smart's lawsuit over prison punishment for morphine possession. And so that was this year.
Yeah.
That's this year. So she's got all of her, the face issues, the plastic plate that's in there.
Yeah.
So she has all these issues. She's saying it's tramadol, but they're saying you shouldn't even have any of that in your cell. You should be going to the desk and taking it and everything. But they said it was morphine anyway. So she went into solitary confinement for 40 days. So she lost her job as the HIV/AIDS counselor, and which is huge for her because she'd been doing that for so long, and that's kind of like losing her place in the status, right, in the hierarchy. She was getting paid something different to be an HIV/AIDS counselor, so that was just 40 days. I don't know if they were trying to keep her away from being able to appeal again or, try to relitigate her case, but she lost her privileges, her loss of phone privileges for 100 days. She lost her commissary privileges as well for 100 days. She missed out on a family reunion visit with her elderly parents. Aside from the 40 days of solitary confinement, all because of those pills, which she says were prescribed to me, but were supposed to be taken at the med window.
I mean, you knew what was going to happen. I mean,
you knew what was going to happen. So anyway, so that's my story.
Ooh.
Yay!
Okay, well, let me read the answers to the question of the week because that was rough. So if after all of that you forgot what the question of the week was, it's if you were a ghost, what would you do to haunt people? Okay, so Sarah says, I would call their name from another room or whisper stuff behind them, but maybe funny stuff, not scary stuff.
No. No.
There is no funny stuff you could whisper to me from another room.
That is the worst.
Yeah.
It has happened to me. And no.
Yeah.
No. Sarah, no.
Bad Sarah.
I would be pissed off. I would be pissed as a motherfucker. All right.
Jesse says, drink all of their coffee and then replace it with decaf. If they have terrible coffee, then I will switch their sugar into their salt containers and salt into their sugar containers.
Oh, you're mean. We have mean friends.
Noelle says, remove all the batteries from the remotes and then hide the back covers of them. I'm a ghost of inconvenience.
That's hysterical. Oh my God, that's so funny.
Laura says, I'd randomly move things around because I think someone does this to me all of the time.
Oh, well, then they probably do. Oh, so you're just going to like pass it on, pay it forward. I see. All right.
So those were the answers to our question of the week. Yay!
Please go back and answer if you didn't this week. We love to see those. They're hysterical. So please.
That was sent in by Glenn. So, if you have a question you want us to ask, please message us. Whatever. We'll use it.
Thank you, Glenn. Thank you.
Probably on another band because he didn't comment. So I assume he's on another band. I don't know.
The what?
I said he didn't comment on it, even though he sent it to us. So he's probably on another band.
Oh, don't start fights with people. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. All right, guys. Well, Ashley, what can they do to get in contact with us?
We're on all of the social media platforms. Well, most Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You can email us. You can send us messages.
Are we on TikTok now?
No.
You just said we're on
I didn't mean to say it if I did. I'm sorry. My brain is scrambled.
You totally did. I was like...
Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I'm sorry, guys. I am just failing left and right.
All right.
Yeah, so we're on all the things. We're streaming on all the platforms. Like us, share us, tell all your friends. Next week, I'm doing a disappearance case. My favorite. Ooh, yes. I know. It's a good one.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm excited. All right, guys. So tune in next week. Have safe travels. Ashley, we want to make sure you get home to us. You'll be out of town next week as well, but you'll still record.
Yes. Okay. Yes. I will be flying back on Wednesday, but I can record the day before.
Oh, okay. All right. So we'll do something. All right. Yeah. All right, everybody. Well, until next week, be safe, be kind, please. And, don't be an asshole.
Yeah.
God.
Keep your hands to yourselves.
Don't be these people. Keep your hands to yourselves. Don't be these people. I don't want to do an episode about you. I think that's it, right?
I think so. I think we've given them a lot this episode.
I know. All right, everybody, be kind to one another, please, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.